Brilliance Audio presents 12 by 12, a one-room cabin off the grid and beyond the American dream, by William Powers, performed by Andrew Iden. I know a doctor who makes $11,000 a year, my mother said. I looked up, suddenly curious. She's an acquaintance of mine, my mother continued, passing me a basket of bread across the dinner table. Lives an hour from here in a 12-foot by 12-foot house with no electricity. I noticed my father's empty seat next to her and felt my chest tighten. He was still in the hospital. We still weren't sure if they'd been able to remove the entire tumor from his colon. I'd come down to North Carolina from New York City, where I'd recently settled after several years in Bolivia, so that I could be with him as he recovered. My mother went on. She's a tax resister. As a senior physician, she could make $300,000, but she only accepts 11 so as to avoid war taxes. Did you know that 50 cents out of every dollar goes to the Pentagon? Hold on. So this doctor, Jackie Benton, Dr. Jackie Benton, she lives in a 12 by 12 house? That's physically impossible. That bookcase is 12 by 12. She doesn't have any running water either. She harvests the rainwater from her roof. Haven't you heard of her? She's a bit of a local celeb. I stopped eating and looked out the window. The rust-colored sky above my parents' condo hovered exquisitely between orange and red. I could hear the hum of the refrigerator, the rush of cars going by. That distinctive sky momentarily brought me back to Lake Titicaca in Bolivia, beneath a similar red-orange glow, and the echo of a question a shaman had asked me. What's the shape of the world? Something moved inside me. I looked over at my mom and asked, "Do you have any way of contacting Dr. Benton?" "I have her mobile number," my mom said. "She keeps it off, but does check messages every now and then. People are always trying to reach her, and that's made her even more reclusive." Jackie didn't call back. As the days turned into a week, I left several unreturned messages on her voicemail. Meanwhile, when I wasn't visiting my father in the hospital, I asked others in town about this mysterious doctor. She provoked a range of opinions and was called everything from commie to saint. As I eventually learned, Jackie had been a communist in the early 1970s. Once, while counter-protesting at a KKK rally in Greensboro, 5 of her communist friends were shot to death by Klansmen. The police knew who did it, but the good old boy perpetrators were never prosecuted. Jackie went on to marry one of her leftist friends, had 2 daughters, and settled into a life of doctoring. She mostly worked in the state system, attending to African Americans and undocumented Latin Americans in rural clinics. As a mother, she taught her kids symbolic tax resistance as they grew up, like not paying the telephone tax and taking $10.40 off her 1040 form each year, with a note to the IRS saying it was to protest defense spending, while leaving her more radical activism behind. She divorced, but remained close friends with her ex-husband. When her daughters went away to college, she continued to work full-time, but lowered her income to $11,000 to avoid paying any taxes at all. Even those who were offended by her admitted she was a child of the South, sprung from local soil, and most people spoke of her with respect, whether deep or grudging. After all, she'd given up all that money, dedicated her life to serving the poor with her doctoring, and survived on the radical edge of how simply one can live in America. She'd also developed a unique blend of science and spirituality, creating a kind of third way that appealed to secular and religious perspectives alike. "Jackie's a wisdom keeper," one of her friends told me. When I asked what that was, she said, "Wisdom keepers are an old tradition, goes back to the Native Americans. They're elder women who inspire us to dig more deeply into life." If Jackie had any wisdom, she was guarding it. You couldn't exactly look her up on Google Maps. Her dirt road didn't show up on any map. More than that, she wasn't living 12 by 12 just as an expression of simplicity. She chose those tiny dimensions, as she chose her tiny salary, for pragmatic reasons. In North Carolina, any structure that's 12 feet by 12 feet or less does not count as a house. It's considered to be a tool shed or gardening shack, if it's even considered. If you live 12 by 12, you don't pay property tax and don't receive electric lines, sewage, or roads from the state. So I was leaving voicemail messages for someone who, from a certain official point of view, was invisible.